Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis of gold and silver. Gold and silver is looking okay. We're going to take kind of a big picture view this time. Instead of always diving in, we'll do more of a big picture view on a lot of it and see how it's changing from that perspective. Sometimes it's good to dive in, sometimes it's good to do a medium chart perspective, and sometimes it's good to do a long term. The reason I say that is you're going to get different answers based off of different time frames. And what we want to be right on is the big picture view, because that's where the big money's made. Big patterns, big moves, big money. It does take time though, and you have to be pretty patient for this stuff to play out. And if you can get the 5 to 10 year time horizon, that time frame kind of set in your mind, that's where I think you get the biggest rewards. It's also the most reliable. Bigger picture views, more reliable views. It's the fundamentals that are driving the big picture view. The short term, it can go any which way. It could be very much news driven and emotion driven. So I focus on the big stuff, which is 5 to 10 year time frames. So let's dive in here. I've got the dollar here. I'm on a 1 year chart. I'm going to back out to the 5 year. What it looks like, I'm going to do an all actually. Coming back and forth with this. We're coming back up. We've broken to the downside. We're doing a return move, and then I think we're going to break to the downside at some point. Not that it really matters because this is an index. An index is just paper currency against paper currencies. So you can call them toilet paper currencies. Actually, toilet paper is probably worth more than most currencies. That's why it costs more than $1. They are moving up in price because it takes more and more dollars to buy things that are worth anything of any value. But big picture view, we've got the breakout of this trend line, broke to the downside. We always do a retest, and then we look for a move lower. This is the 10-year yield. Big picture view. Get it back in there. Coming down, yield, boom, reverse head and shoulders, inverted head and shoulders. And today, looking at it from a weekly perspective, we're bouncing back up between this, we'll call it support line, and the resistance line of the neckline of the inverted head and shoulders. We were up 1.82% today for yields. Looking at gold, gold was pretty much a flat day. We are still inside of this pattern here. In fact, let me redraw this, get you some thicker lines here. So what I'm looking at is this guy there and this guy here. And we're right in the middle there. We were basically flat today, no change. Usually what happens is you get a 3 bounce and then you get a move higher. Sometimes it breaks up, sometimes it comes back in and then moves around a little bit before breaking. We're very close to a breakout. I think it's less than a year away. Could be 6 months. I don't have that exact time frame. When we break, I think it's going to be a pretty good move. It'll be a decent sized move up. The size of this guy here is the projected move upward from the break. I would say somewhere in the low 2000s for a first projected move. Silver on a big picture view. You break this, it went sideways for a little bit, and then it ran. It started running, I would say, in 2003. We started getting inflation in 2000, so it is delayed a little bit. I think we're going to get the same type of action coming out of this. I think it's going to be delayed a little bit, and it'll probably start running here in the next year or so for silver, like a big move that people are expecting. And then platinum I think is ready to take off. We got this nice big, this on a weekly candlestick basis, putting in a bullish engulfing pattern, which is good for a move to the upside. It's looking quite strong. It broke out of this descending wedge. We've got two little up days today. It was up today. 7.4, and yes, it's going to cycle up and down. But overall, I'm hoping that we are starting an uptrend here for a big move that's coming. XAU to gold ratio. XAU to gold ratio. Let's look at the big long-term view. It's on log here. Let's take it off because it's a ratio. Ratio coming on down, descending wedge, broke to the upside. This is where you want to buy if you're a patient investor, and this will revalue itself much higher, in my opinion. Here's Teck Resources. Again, we've got this pattern that's forming. We've got the 1, 2, 3. It's very jumbled up and messy. Log scale it. And then we're coming on up, and eventually this is going to break to the upside and have a massive move higher, in my opinion, from a big picture view. EXK, big picture view again. We're in this massive pattern, 1, 2, 3, and then we do the break. Sometimes it breaks right here. Sometimes it goes sideways for a little bit before breaking. But the pattern's in, and if we break this upper pattern and get above, close above, let's say $8 or so, we could be moving here quite dramatically. There could be another scare in us. It could be a shoulder, head, shoulder, or something developing where people get scared. I'm not saying necessarily that's going to happen, but it could. There could be some event that people get scared. Here's SILJ. Again, we've got that nice big pattern that's developing. 1, 2, and then the third. And we're looking for a break at some point. And it could come all the way back here. It could. No one knows the exact future, but big picture view, when we break this pattern, it's going to be gone. I just can't tell you exactly the exact timing of it. Here is GDX 1, 2. If you draw a big line through here, it broke to the upside. It's up, coming back. Let me draw it in real quick. Something like this. Either way, we're breaking out of either this pattern here or this pattern here to the upside. We're coming back to do a retest. It's kind of just bouncing around right now. And we're just waiting for this thing to break this downtrend line and start moving. It's going to take a little bit of time. Just be patient. MMNGF's got this big pattern here. Broke to the upside. We've been back testing and grinding along this line here. Hit it a few times before. We're still bumping and grinding on it for metallic minerals, but overall it looks okay. Nothing bad from a monthly perspective. We zoom in a little bit. This is a weekly candlestick basis. What I like here is we've got big buying pressure days in here and smaller selling pressure days. So I do think it's going to resolve upward over time. It's just going to take some time. Discovery Silver. We'll jump to this one here. Coming on up. We did a little squeezy, came on back, down off this bearish pattern here. Whenever you start seeing big selling pressure days like this, you got to watch out for a pullback. We're coming on up, and it looks like we're trying to make our way higher over time. First Majestic, this is a bullish piercing pattern that we're trying to put in on a weekly candlestick. If we close strong, it looks good on a weekly perspective. We broke out. We're coming back and doing kind of a little bit almost of a return move. And then I think we'll move on higher over time. Newmont's looking really good. Kind of zooming in here. We're right at support here. We've been bouncing off the support line. We broke out of this little descending wedge, and hopefully we can move on higher on the weekly candlestick basis. Big picture view, this thing is a massive pattern going all the way back to 1978. The projected move is all the way up here. It's way up there off the charts. Let me see if I can, for some reason I can't adjust out. I know there's a way to do it. It's okay. But 1, 2, 3, and we're ready to break at some point here. I can't tell you the exact timing, but when it breaks, the risk reward here is massive for Newmont mining. Yamana Gold's got a similar pattern. Big old descending wedge type pattern. Broke to the upside with another descending wedge. These things are already breaking to the upside, so I would say it's just a matter of time before this thing breaks and goes on this flag pattern. Impact Silver. Here's your pattern here. Broke to the upside. Another pattern where it kind of failed. It's been flailing around here recently on the short term. There it is. Broke the downtrend, came back. It's just moving sideways. Here is Aftermath Silver. Zooming in on a yearly downtrend break, and we've been moving sideways on it. It's real low. It's got a lot of support down here. Up to you on what you want to do. Here's Sandstorm Gold. Let me back out here. Nice, good update today. What we're doing on a week, this is a monthly candlestick. We're putting in a hammer pattern on a monthly. We can finished somewhat strong. We are above the trend line. I think this is going to reverse and probably move higher. On a weekly candlestick basis, you can see that we're coming back up, creating that wick on a monthly. That once this comes back up on a monthly candlestick, which is here, we'll put a big hammer pattern in it, hopefully. Franco Nevada, what you do is you create these patterns. This one leaked out the bottom side and then ran. This one's coming on up. We're going to squeegee up into this corner here and then launch. This will be a launch fest. I don't know, 2022, 2023. It's going to be a big move. Do I think it's going to launch right this second? Probably not, but I think we're getting closer each day. Each day we're getting closer to a launch. This is a pattern. When we break 160, we are going to be gone. It's going to be a fun ride. EMX Royalty. EMX Royalty is also putting in patterns. We broke out to the downside, but the buyers are buying it back up on a monthly basis. It's creating a hammer pattern. That's what this pattern is in this corner here. This is a hammer pattern, which we could be moving to the upside. This is a bearish engulfing followed by a hammer pattern. It's fighting back and forth. There's the big up day that we've got, or up week, I should say, that we're putting in this week to come back up above the support line. Hopefully it can stay up here. Teck Resources is doing the same thing. It's coming right back up like EMX. It's like, hey, we made a mistake. We should be not breaking to the downside. We should be coming back up. Teck Resources is coming back up, so that's good. So that looks strong. Wheaton Precious Metals, massive pattern here, guys. Absolutely gigantic. Broke to the upside, pulling on back, doing a squeeze on up in here, and then we'll break to the upside. And we'll forget that this thing was even consolidating for as long as it has been. But we're seeing some buying pressure come in on a weekly candlestick basis. Like to see it break this pattern, and we'll be off cruising higher. Gold Royalty. Looking at this guy, putting in a little hammer pattern. We got a hammer pattern here, another hammer pattern. I think eventually we'll get to see this thing move on up. You can see the buying pressure today, 2.9% up today. So it tried selling off, but we're getting some rally mode in us to move on up. Metallo Minerals, you can see it. We're sliding out the bottom side a little bit here, squeezing one out. But we're getting a little bit of buying pressure. A little bit of buying on the weekly candlestick. Two big up days, smaller down day today. Hopefully we can, obviously broke the downtrend line. Hopefully we can get back above this resistance line here. Maverick Metals. Zooming in, there's Maverick Metals. Retest, is this thing going to break down or come back up? I would say it's probably going to come back up if the rest of the metal sector is going back up. So I remain positive on it at the moment. And that can change at any second. This is Royal Gold. This one's got a big old pattern that's squeezing up as well. Zooming in on it. We need to break this guy right here. Looks like we're coming up and just squeezing on up into this corner here at the moment. Cisco Gold Royalty, it's coming back into the pattern, doing a little fake out. It's doing a fake out on the upside and on the downside here. It's going all over the place. It's getting a little bit confused on which way it wants to go. On a monthly candlestick, we're putting in a gigantic hammer pattern. Usually that's a reversal pattern of a downtrend move to move on up. We break this trend line, I think we're going to see some fireworks. It's going to run. It's going to be cheetah. Usually longer, big bases like this, the patterns usually like to run for a while. So I did buy some down here. I think it's a low-risk entry point for myself and this Cisco Gold Royalties. And I'm going to be holding it for a long time. I'm not worried about what happens over the next few months. I want to see when this thing breaks, when the money supply accounts for, or when gold accounts for the money supply, or when the money starts to rotate over into gold, this thing's going to have a massive run, I think. But that's my opinion. Take it for what it is. But that's what I've got for today. Kind of big picture view. Everything looks good. Everything's intact. We're putting in big hammer patterns on a lot of these things. So what I do is I don't do anything. I just sit in these and I just wait. It's a long-term investment, and the patterns are there. Now we just got to break them. The market conditions are changing in favor for gold, silver, and other precious metals. Again, this isn't fast. This doesn't happen like this. You know, it doesn't happen every like that. Had to get a little sound in there, you know. But yeah, everything looks good and I'm holding on. If you guys like this content, give me a thumbs up. Click the thumbs up button, wherever the heck that is. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed, and thank you for listening. This is Finding Value.